Hello, everybody. How are we doing? Welcome to Live Training Wednesday. This is part of my live training series that I do every Wednesday for you guys to talk about gut health and the juicy topics that you guys have questions on. So I'm sorry for being a little bit late today. I was having some technical difficulties with Wi-Fi. Technology and I don't always get along, but we're here, we're doing this. This will be posted in the group for anybody who can't join live. And if you are here live with me, feel free to ask any questions in the comments. This is a super interactive, fun time for you guys to ask me your gut health questions, get the support that you need to help you feel so much better in your body. My name is Jillian. For those of you who may be new around here, I am a functional medicine registered dietitian. I specialize in gut health. So this topic is my jam. I love chatting about it. And today we are talking about nutrition and gut health. As a dietitian, I have to talk about nutrition because I love it. And it really does play such a big role in our gut health. And we're going to be talking about why that is. In our group program, The Gut Fix, we spend an entire module on nutrition. We really get into the nitty gritty because it's that important when you are establishing or maintaining good gut health. You have to be fueling your good gut bugs, your bacteria with the right nutrients. So we're going to talk a little bit about them today. Like I said, it's a huge topic. So we're going to talk about the foundations that you guys need to know today. And if you guys ever have more in-depth questions, please feel free to ask. All right, let's go ahead and dive into it. So I want to start by kind of talking a little bit about the role of the gut. I posted this on my Instagram earlier this week. For any of you who follow me on Instagram, I talked about all the amazing things that the gut does, including modulates the immune system. Over 70% of our immune system is within our gut. So our gut plays a huge role in keeping that in balance. It protects against food sensitivities. That's a hot topic right now. So many people have food sensitivities. It produces B vitamins, vitamin K, helps with mineral absorption, things like magnesium, calcium, zinc. You need to have good gut health and good digestive function to absorb those essential minerals. It plays a big role in blood sugar and insulin control, weight management, metabolism. More to come on that in future training. So keep your eyes open for a training on metabolism and gut health. It's going to be a good one. Mood regulation, inflammation, production of short chain fatty acids, which we could get really deep into those, but basically what you need to know about those is they're really beneficial for our health as human beings. We need to have them, and our gut produces them. So let's talk about the nutrition. How can you best support your gut through the foods that you're eating so that your gut can be primed to carry out all these really important roles that it does? So I always say diversity is the name of the game. In order for these microbes to do all of those jobs, like I just discussed, our microbiome really has to be diverse with so many different kinds of species, and we need a lot of them, diversity and abundance. So our overall health really depends on this, guys. It's super freaking important. In the US, our microbiomes are actually shrinking. They are shrinking in diversity and in abundance. The United States actually has some of the least diverse microbiomes out of other countries in the world. That's not a good thing. We do not want to have shrinking microbiomes. Not good. In the US, our microbiomes are lacking diversity, which leads to so many other issues like obesity, insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, a lot of these metabolic disorders, because remember, the gut plays a really big role in our metabolism. People with least diversity in their microbiome also show to have higher triglycerides, whole body inflammation, autoimmunity. All of these chronic conditions that are on the rise, the numbers are jumping up, and it is directly related to our microbiomes become more and more unhealthy. Over 70% of of the United States has some sort of digestive function disorder, so that is a problem. Our guts are not very healthy. We need to change that. So these conditions are really a reflection that we are not exposed to the diversity that we need in order to stay healthy. So let's talk about our diet a little bit. The standard American diet, that's what the American diet is referred to as, SAD, SAD, kind of makes sense. And this standard American diet is really the biggest driver of dysbiosis. Our typical diet in the United States is really high in processed foods, processed and refined carbohydrates, inflammatory fats, and it's very low in fiber. Because of this, it's really taken a hit at our microbiome, and it's really making our microbiome shrink. So another thing I want to touch on is restrictive diets, because so many times when we have gut issues, where we have a lot of food sensitivities, we can't tolerate a lot of things, we find ourselves falling into these restrictive diets, things like keto, autoimmune paleo, the AIP diet, even low FODMAP. These are diets that are just by default are low in diversity because you're eating less plant foods, you're eating less fiber. So for these sort of restrictive diets, there is a time and a place, and if they're well designed, if you're working with a practitioner, sure, go for it. But if you're trying to navigate some of these restrictive diets on your own, it can become detrimental to your gut health because you're going to not be getting the diversity that you need of eating a bunch of different plant foods. That's how we get the diversity in our gut. I'm going to check the questions real quick. It looks like we're good. Amazing. Okay, so let's talk about how we get this diversity. How do we rebuild the diversity in our gut? So like I was saying, when we start to lose diversity of our plant sources, our polyphenols, our fibers, you're going to lose diversity in the gut. So how do we rebuild diversity? How do we build it back up? Eating a whole food, high fiber diet. When I say whole food, I'm meaning foods that come from the earth, different tubers, plants, produce, fruits, vegetables, potatoes, sprouts, all those sort of things. And diversity is so important because different plant foods will feed different microbes in your gut, which then will expand the diversity in your microbiome. You see how it all kind of works together. So ask yourself, are you rotating your plants out? A lot of times with clients that I work with, they either can't tolerate a lot of food, so they kind of just have a same cycle of 5 to 10 fruits and veggies that they tolerate, so that's all they really stick to. Or maybe you're somebody who just finds the food that you like and you just stick with those. Try to branch out if you can, because sticking to just the same small handful of plant foods is not doing your gut any favors, because you're just going to be feeding the same species that eat those plants, where we want to increase the diversity. So you need to introduce new foods into your diet. We need to expand and increase our palates. So a lot of times as a gut health dietitian, I get asked, how much fiber should I be eating? So the USDA recommendation says 25 grams for women and 38 grams for men. Number one, I do not think that this is very helpful. I'm going to tell you why. One, I think we should be eating a lot more than 25 and 38 grams of fiber. I think that's too low. And number two, 25 grams of fiber is not bringing into the conversation the diversity, because you might be eating 25 grams of fiber from apples, but you're not going to be getting the same benefits, whereas if you were getting 25 grams of fiber from multiple plant sources. So I think that the recommendation should be more focused on diversity. How many different kinds of plant foods should you be eating? So what I recommend is aim for diversity, multicolored plant foods, and aim for 40 different types of plants each week. Now, before you're like, holy tamale, how do I incorporate 40 different kinds of plants each week? It's not as overwhelming as it seems, because let's take potatoes, for instance. You have sweet potatoes, you have the purple Japanese potatoes, and then you have the white potatoes. Those will count as 3 different kinds. Or maybe a Granny Smith apple, and then a red apple, and then a Fuji apple, 3 different kinds. The more that we can expand and bring in different colors, the better for our gut. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. So really what you guys want to aim for, daily consumption of polyphenol-rich foods. I'm going to tell you guys what a polyphenol-rich food is, prebiotic-rich foods, and also resistant starch foods. Another thing I get asked about a lot is probiotics. What's the deal with probiotics? So probiotics, you can eat probiotics via food. So these are the bacteria that are found in fermented foods like kombucha, kimchi, yogurt, sauerkraut. Or you can also do supplemental probiotic. The thing with probiotics is they don't re-inoculate your gut. They don't reseed your gut. This is a really common misconception. Somebody may think, oh, I have to take a round of antibiotics, so I know it's going to kill a lot of the bacteria. I'll just pop a probiotic so that it'll replenish that bacteria and all will be good. Unfortunately, it just doesn't work that way. Wish it did, it'd be a heck of a lot easier, but it just doesn't work that way. Probiotics are temporarily in your gut. They only pass through. They don't stick to your gut lining and take up real estate. But they absolutely have some benefits, so it's not a bad practice to include probiotic-rich foods and a probiotic supplement if that's appropriate for you. I definitely recommend, especially when you're taking antibiotics, because they do have benefits while in transit. They just don't work as a lot of people think that they're working. So they have benefits as to protecting your gut from harm and modulating your immune system, but they're not going to re-inoculate your gut, if that makes any sense. However, I still think that they're a great practice to include into your diet. But when people come to me asking what probiotic I recommend, I usually say, well, what I recommend is eating more plants and eating more than you are right now. If you have gut issues, you need to eat some more plants to rebuild that good bacteria. So what kind of plants should you be looking at? What kind of things should you be eating? So I mentioned that fancy word, polyphenols. So what are polyphenols? These are the chemicals in plants that give them their color. So this kind of goes back to what I was saying, choosing different colors of apples are going to give you different nutrients because you're going to be getting different polyphenols, which feed different bacteria in your gut. And these polyphenols have some anti-inflammatory effects, antioxidant effects, really, really good for us humans. And these polyphenols, we as human beings do not digest them. They make their way down to the gut where then the bacteria digest them and we get to reap the benefits of that. So to get a polyphenol-rich food, what you want to look for is highly pigmented fruits and vegetables. Anything, or really any plant food. So that can include nuts and seeds. Really anything that is black, blue, red, purple, green, yellow, orange, even brown. Think of browns like the skin of almonds are going to have polyphenols in them. The more colors, the better. So focusing on things like I said, almonds, flaxseed, or pomegranate, cherries, berries, dark leafy greens like spinach or kale, red cabbage, green lettuce, red lettuce. So you see how what you really want to think about is increasing your color, increasing that diversity so that the diversity in your gut will also be increased. You can also find a lot of polyphenols in things like dark chocolate. Coffee actually has some polyphenols in there. Different herbs and spices like cinnamon, cumin, dried peppermint, oregano, matcha powder has some polyphenols in there. So always think color when it comes to polyphenols. All right, let's talk a little bit about prebiotics. So what are prebiotics and how are they different from probiotics? Probiotics are the living bacteria. Prebiotics are the food for that bacteria. So you want to eat a lot of prebiotics so that you can feed the bacteria that's living in your gut. When it comes to prebiotics, I always recommend starting low and slow because when you feed that bacteria in your gut, they release some gases, and those gases can lead to increased bloating, excessive gas for you and can be a little bit uncomfortable. So especially for those who are struggling with digestive issues, if you have SIBO, small intestine bacteria overgrowth, or IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, it can be really difficult to tolerate a lot of prebiotics. So go low and slow. But some examples of good prebiotics are things like inulin, FOS. These are found in Jerusalem artichokes, chicory root, dandelion root, garlic and onions, leeks, asparagus, lentils, chickpeas, pinto beans, cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, kale, Brussels sprouts. They're also in beets, sunflower seeds. You can find them in black currants and almonds, green tea. So as I was listing off a lot of those, you might have been like, oh yeah, garlic, onions, I don't tolerate those very well. It's the prebiotic fibers in them. They're very beneficial for you, but if you have a lot of gut issues, you may not tolerate them very well. So go low and slow with those. The last one I wanted to talk about was resistant starch. And resistant starch is exactly what it sounds like. It's starch that resists digestion, so it makes its way down to your colon, feeds that good bacteria, and you get to reap all the health benefits of that. So things like grains and seeds, legumes, potatoes, plantains, unripe bananas. So bananas before they turn ripe, when they're nice and green, that's a great source of resistant starch. Another really interesting thing is there's certain starches that when you cook them and then cool them, their starch is reshaped and it becomes indigestible. So then it does reach the colon intact. Examples of this is purple potatoes, yams, white potatoes, sushi rice, long grain rice. So when you cook these things and then you eat them cooled, they become a resistant starch. But you can't reheat them, otherwise you're going to miss out on those resistant starch benefits. So a little fun tip for you guys there. So I know that was kind of a lot of information. It's getting so dark over here. Hope you guys can see me okay. I know that was a lot of information. In conclusion, what I really want you guys to take home here is plant fiber diversity and really expanding your palate to start including more diverse fruits and vegetables. I always recommend going into the produce section and having fun with it, shopping around, finding some new potatoes and tubers and roots and sprouts that you've never tried before, picking them up, doing a little Google search of how to prepare them, and really just expanding your horizon on some of those, because your gut will thank you. That's how you build the diversity and can keep yourself healthy to reduce those risks of some of those nasty chronic illnesses and diseases that I had mentioned in the beginning of this training. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. Like I was saying, nutrition is a beast. It is not simple. That's why it can feel really overwhelming to try to heal your gut on your own. It's just a really complex system, the body as a whole. Nutrition does play a huge role, and this is just a small piece to it, but it's really important to personalize your nutrition, because at the end of the day, we are all so different. We are going to react differently to different foods. You may have food sensitivities or intolerances that are unique to you. So that's where working with somebody can really come in handy to figure out what foods feel good for you and work for your body. So if you guys are interested, I did post that little graphic posted it last week of different ways to work with me. I see clients privately one-on-one where we could really sit down and personalize your nutrition, do the testing to figure out what's going on in your gut. We also have a group program that's going to be starting in a few weeks, which again, you get that personalized support, but you get to do it alongside a group and a community, which is super fun. We have some courses that are going to be coming out, so lots of exciting things. You guys can always private message me if you have questions, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. We're going to be coming in with some super fun trainings. I have on my roster to talk about gut health and skin. So how to fix your skin, how to fix your metabolism, how to fix your hormones. All of these things are so intimately knitted into your gut health. So it's an interesting topic to talk about. All right, guys, hope you have a great Wednesday, and I'll see you guys next week. Yes, Jacqueline, this will be replayed. It'll be saved in the group here so you can watch it. All right. Bye, guys.